What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you with a version 2 of a deck. As I said, I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel right now. There's pretty much everything that needs to be done in standard has been done. There's just a lot of sort of like little upgrades to decks, and you know, people are just putting Fable of the Mirror Breaker into all their decks that play red and making new brews. There have been some new things coming out, namely the Teamer Treasures deck with Wet Gruel deck with Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Goldspan Dragon and a Seeker's Chariot. There's also been a couple of upgrades to the Sokenzan Smelter Oni Cult Anvil deck, where they again put in Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I don't want to just copy everybody else. That's kind of my thing. I try to make unique brews that I haven't seen around too much at all. And this was one that I did a while back in an episode of Brewing With. We had an episode where I was brewing with Sokenzan Smelter, and we made a few different versions, and there was one that I thought was the strongest, which was the Mardu version, which no one's playing Mardu. Everyone's playing it in just straight up Rakdos, or sometimes I've seen it in mono red. But this is a Mardu version, and I really like it because it gives us access to some sweet removal, namely the Vanishing Verse and the Rite of Oblivion. So without further ado, let's jump into tonight's brew. Mardu Smelter version 2.0. It's completely changed from the last one. It had more lands in the previous version, and we had also some copies of the Lolth in the deck. Now I've trimmed the lands down to 22 because it's definitely, as you can see, a much more low to the ground deck. The most expensive thing we have is a 2-drop. So yeah, let's do the usual. Describe the deck from left to right. Explain to you why it is that I've picked the card to go in the deck, how it is that it might synergize with the other cards in the deck. Then we're going to jump into some gameplay footage, illustrate as many of those play lines and interactions for you against some opponents on the Diamond Ladder, and then we'll jump in at the end with my final thoughts, potential deck upgrades, and overall deck review. So we start off with a full playset of Portable Hull, which is importantly an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you exile target non-land permanent the opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until Portable Hull leaves the battlefield. I really like in this particular deck going mostly for creature tokens, which means that then you can sacrifice your Portable Hull to the Sokenzan Smelter, to the Oni Cult Anvil, and gain all of the value that you do from that, and then the opponent gets nothing back because the token is gone once it's exiled. But you can also, of course, use it as just great removal against all of the, 2-drops that the opponent plays. It just means that you can now no longer sacrifice it. But that's not the only synergy that we have in the deck. We've also got a full playset of the Dragonspark Reactor. So even if it's just entering the battlefield, exiling something, and you don't sacrifice it, it still puts a counter onto your Dragonspark Reactor. So it's not always wasted. Then, another new card in the deck, which I just can't believe I never put in any of my Smelter or Oni Cult Anvil decks, because it's adding just an additional little bit of gain and drain. For those of you who do not watch my spoiler talk episodes, because, there's lots of spoiler content all over the internet, I do them anyway because I just like to talk to myself about the cards. It helps me really absorb a new set as I on the lead up towards the day when it gets released. The Rakdos Sacrifice deck is getting a lot of assistance in Streets of New Capenna. It's already pretty bad that when you just sacrifice one thing and you have the Meathook Massacre and Warlock Class in play and Oni Cult Anvil, you're already draining the opponent for 3. We've gotten a bunch of new cards in the new set that is going to, in one example that I made in Spoiler Talk, it can be up to 6 damage just from sacrificing one of these little constructs, and you could potentially be sacrificing more than one each turn. So the Rakdos deck is going to get really good, in my opinion, in Streets of New Capenna, so be aware. But yeah, Warlock Class is just an additional way of drawing cards, because initially all we had was Deadly Dispute, and we occasionally got into those situations where we didn't have any cards to draw. Now we've got some cards to draw alongside the Deadly Dispute. We can also draw them with Warlock Class. Level 2, when it becomes level 2, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your library, and you put one of them into your hand, the rest into your graveyard. And then the level 3 in this deck is also nothing to be scoffed at. If you can ever get to that point, you know, of course, every time you drain the opponent with all of the stuff that we have that's draining, then that damage is doubled by the Warlock Class. And of course, Dragonspark Reactor can then end the game much sooner than usual. Dragonspark Reactor doesn't see much play in these decks. There's probably, I don't know. I think it's just fantastic. It's just an additional win con. Unfortunately, it gets Vanishing Burst quite often before you can get it off. But it's just this extra little bit of inevitability. At some point, you can have it do a bunch of damage. And it's not just to face, it also gets rid of a creature. So it's creature and face. For 4, I think it's really good. And if they do target it with some removal, you can always just sack it to the Oni Cult Anvil and still get a little bit of value that way. So yeah, Warlock Class, fantastic. Gone with a 4 of, helping us drain the opponent even more whenever we sacrifice these little constructs to the anvil. And of course, we've got a full playset of the Voldaren Epicure, because it makes an artifact when it enters the battlefield. And also dealing 1 damage to the opponent isn't terrible, and then it just makes a nice little chump blocker. And of course, we've got Deadly Dispute. It's going to help us make treasures, which are artifacts, also ramping, also drawing cards. Obvious, fantastic card. Kind of not going to be too disappointed when it rotates out, because I'm a little bit sick of how freaking good it is. And, you know, all those mono black decks that just play your turn 1 Shambling Gas or Eye Twitch, and then they always got, like, so many Deadly Disputes, and they always draw another one whenever they use it, and they just get so much card advantage and ramp out of it. But yeah, it's an obvious fit in this deck. There's so many treasures that we can sacrifice to it. Or any artifact in that case, and also creatures. So had to be a 4 of. We've got Dragonspark Reactor. The number of artifacts that enter the battlefield every turn gets obscene in this deck, and you can quite easily get this to be pretty big pretty quickly. And then just be aware of the color combinations that the opponent's playing. If it's the very, very prevalent Esper mid-range deck, it's running 4 copies of Vanishing Verse, 4 copies of the Wandering Emperor. This isn't a creature, but you know, there's exile effects aplenty that can target. Also, the March of Otherworldly Light will exile this thing, so just be careful. You know, don't wait too long to get the, like, wow, look how big it is, I've got 10 counters on the thing, I'm going to go face and end the game. But before by the time, the opponent is going to be highly incentivized to remove it, and if they have a way to do so, they will do so. So maybe sometimes just get that damage off earlier rather than later. Next up, we've got a full playset of the Sokenzan Smelter, which is the main card of the deck, of course. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1 colorless, sacrifice an artifact. If you do, you create a 3/1 red construct artifact creature token with haste. Obviously fantastic, right? I mean, people slept on this for a while. I was on it straight away. I was like, dude, this is great. You can, like, get the free sack thing on the Oni Cult Anvil, and so you don't have to tap the anvil to do the sacrificing. Which means you can keep it untapped and do the block and sacrifice thing when the opponent's attacking into your constructs, and then you getting 2 artifacts every turn, because you sacrifice the construct that the Oni Cult Anvil made potentially the previous turn to the Sokenzan Smelter. Because an artifact is leaving the battlefield, you get a new construct and the 3/1 with haste. And that's obviously 2 more artifacts entering the battlefield, triggering the Dragonspark Reactor every single turn. And you can, of course, have multiple Sokenzan Smelters on the battlefield. It gets pretty freaking amazing. Which brings us to our removal package, which is the reason for splashing white in the deck, other than Portable Hole. I've gone for 2 Fracture, 2 Rite of Oblivion, 2 Vanishing Verse. I don't know about these numbers. We might just end up going, like, freaking 4 Rite of Oblivions and 2 Vanishing Verse or something, and 2 Fractures. Actually, I'm kind of tempted, but I'm going to leave it at that for now and see how it plays. And then, as usual, BrewLab style, we will make some adjustments along the way. And if we do, of course, all those adjustments will be reflected in the deck list that you can find in the video description down below for you guys to copy and enjoy. So 2 copies of Fracture, because there's lots of artifacts, there's lots of enchantments, there's lots of planeswalkers. And I've said it before, I've said it again. I think this should be seeing a lot more play, considering the amount of planeswalkers and artifacts and enchantments that we have in the format right now. And just being able to deal with all 3 of them for 2 mana at instant speed is just a great little package. Then we've got 2 copies of Rite of Oblivion, which effectively means we can cast it 4 times because of the flashback cost. You sacrifice a creature, you get all of your synergies from the sacrificing, you know, your Oni Cult Anvil, maybe you're sacrificing a construct, that's something leaving the battlefield. You get to create another construct, blah, 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 blah. And the opponent exiles the thing that you're targeting. And you can target any non-land permanent, enchantments, planeswalkers, creatures, you name it, artifacts. So for Rite of Oblivion, this is why I'm saying I'll probably end up just going for a 4 and 2 and leave out the Vanishing Verse altogether, because it's people are getting wise to it. There's a lot of stuff that people are playing that it dodges. So we'll have to see during tonight's gameplay footage. Then, of course, we've got a full playset of the Oni Cult Anvil. Don't really need to reintroduce this card again. It's been seeing a lot of play. And yeah, it's the main engine, right? We're draining the opponent with this and continuously getting fresh chump blockers, and which is also sacrifice fodder for all sorts of things. Your Deadly Disputes, your Smelter, every time that's going to be making the Dragonspark Reactor go up, yada, yada, yada. So we've gone with a full playset of the Oni Cult Anvil, of course. And then finally, the Meathook Massacre is the final piece of the puzzle in your drain with the Warlock Class. And the Oni Cult Anvil and the Meathook Massacre, you can be draining for 3 on top of the the rest of the stuff that you're doing. And it's also just a great sweeper. At some point, you might have ended up with this huge board of constructs. You know, if the opponent doesn't run their own sweepers and things, there's certain decks, of course, that don't. Then you can just massacre your own board and win the game that way. But it's also just great to have it on the battlefield, cast it for X is 0, get it down nice and early, and then every time you're doing all of your stuff, you're draining for an additional little bit of damage. And that's the deck. Of course, 3 colors these days make the mana base very, very wonky. I've gone with this setup. I wonder if it's the right thing. We'll have to see again in testing if it comes right. But we've got 1 of each of the creature lands, 1 of each of the legendaries, 1 of each of the basics, so that we can go fetch them with Field of Ruin, or if we get Field of Ruined, and then lots of duels. And I've just dropped 1 Needleverge Pathway because white and red is the color combination that we have the least of in the deck. And so, the rest I've gone with 2 of, but the Needleverge was, I don't know, I'd rather have a dual land than one that you have to pick the side of. So I cut 1 of the pathways, and 2 Field of Ruins, a la BrewLab. That's the deck. Mardu Smelter version 2.0, featuring a full playset of the Warlock Class and a full playset of the Dragonspark Reactor instead of the Mukotai Soul Ripper. Let's see if it makes a big difference. Let's jump into some games. Zombie deck, potentially tomorrow. Stay tuned. It's a sweet one. People have been kind of forgetting about zombies, but it's actually not bad at all. And I think I've made a nice one here. Again, going back, looking at old decks, seeing how they can be upgraded with the new cards from Kamigawa, and giving them a bit of love before the new set drops. Nah. Little better, I guess. Mono white aggro, baby. Could be Naya. Yeah, probably just... These are fun. Portable hold, your portable hold, and then I'll portable hold the portable hold that you portable hold. I'm out of cards though. We need a Deadly Dispute or a Warlock Class, like, pretty quickly. Elite Spellbinder. Redain. Man, it could be so many things. All their mono whites is just like basically 3-drop tribal. Redain it is. Starting to think I might have gone with a some number of the voltage surge instead of just the removal that I have gone for, but let's see. Okay, blocking. We have nothing with mana value 4 or greater, so this really doesn't bother me other than the fact that it's, you know, a flyer, so we do need to get rid of it eventually, but we've still got a bit of life to deal with. One of my matches yesterday, in best of 3, they just sideboard in that Faithful Guardian that phases out. Such a good sweeper protection. They just go really, really wide, and then at some point they hold up the... When they know the sweep is coming, they hold up the Faithful Guardian. And then you think, finally, I've gotten around the one white player. Here's my sweeper. Oop, that's my... Okay, nice. It's gonna have to be the dispute, yeah? Ouch. Ouchie, ouchies. Oh, I should have gone for the adversary, but I wanted to sack this. Phew. Not looking good, guys. Not looking good. We need more removal. Game over. Almost certainly. Yeah. On to the next one. Mono white, guys. Such a pain in my butt. It's like every second match. Okay. Let's test a different removal package. Let's go for more Rites of Oblivions. Let's see how this plays. I'll leave in the fractures, because still plenty Naya runes, plenty Selesnya enchantments running about. I've been on the worst losing streak in the last 2 years, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go like 0 wins during tonight's gameplay footage. I honestly would not be surprised at all. The way Arena's been treating me the last couple of days, it's going on to like a week now. Got some good wins during the tournament, best of 3, but best of 1, I've just been getting stomped. On the play, got some removal, got some card draw, got 3 lands. I'm happy. Mono white again. Great target for our portable. The hole that is portable. Ooh. As always. Oh, come on, man. Massacre's nice. I'll keep my stuff. I mean, he wouldn't have blocked. I pretty should have attacked there. Again, mono white, man. It's so much of the format in best of 1. It's just mono white. It's just, you might as well just call it mono white standard. Honestly. Okay, at least we can Rite of Oblivion this guy out of the way. Deadly Dispute is great, and Meathook Massacre is great. We need another black source for the Massacre. What's he gonna exile? My portable hole? Really? I would have gone for the hole. You would have gotten back your dude there. Yes! Oh no! Oh! That is terrible, man. Oh my god, I'm so over it, guys. You have no idea how sick I am of this shit. It's just too much, man. I need a black source now. Crying out loud. Okay. No, we can't do that. Just have to do this. Ah. Block and sack routine incoming. Come on, we've got the black mana now with the treasure. Okay. Bye-bye Rite of Oblivion. Unfortunately. It's gonna be a great Meathook Massacre though. Oh, for crying out loud. Give me a break, man. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Whew. This Massacre is gonna feel amazing. And because we're casting the Massacre with the treasure, we'll get a trigger off of the anvil as well. Three. Whew. Stonebinder. Now the Sentinel. Sure. See what happens here. Ass hat. Bit late to the party, mate. That's a problem, but not really. We've got Fracture. Actually, no. Ah, too late now. Already been declared. He's not going to take any damage because of the of that. But very happy to have Fracture in hand. I'm just gonna wait. Not too scared about 1 damage. Maybe we can get this to grow a little bit. We've got the mono white gamer into top deck mode. Where's our Smelter? I mean, there's so many cards that I should be getting him. Just Floodfest. But we're doing the thing. Whew. Got him. Man, the amount of flooding, and I mean, honestly, guys, I don't know about you. It started to happen after the patch. Just like the weirdest stuff going on. Like, really doesn't feel. I play so much arena, like so much arena, that I know there's something that's changed in the algorithm. I would love to see the patch notes, but maybe they won't even post that kind of stuff. Something feels different. Like, I've got 22 lands in the deck. Just flooding like crazy. And like just weird draws. Losing so many games. The opponent seems to always have exactly the right spell. I mean, of course, that doesn't make any sense, because then, like, the opponent, it's not happening to the opponent because he's having all the good stuff. So I know it's bullshit, but it's just something feels off. I know I haven't gotten any worse at playing. I'm definitely always just getting better because I'm practicing so much. So I just don't. Something is off. Maybe it's just me. I'm too tired, or I'm too burnt out, or something. Doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. Something's weird. Something's off. Game number 3, Jaeger's Backer. Jaeger's Backer. Case in point. Three in a row, guys. 3 in a freaking row, guys. Are you kidding me? 3 mono white in a row. Oh, it's just the worst, man. Disgusting person. Yeah. I'm so over it. I just cannot anymore. Every day I face down an endless barrage of these assholes that play mono white all day. It's just like, how are you having any fun, dude? I don't understand. Don't you get bored? I need removal, please. No such luck. Better than nothing. Whew, the Massacre coming in to save the day. However, this guy can now get rid of our Anvil if he wants to. Still no Rite of Oblivion anywhere to be seen. Now he's going to use the counters on the initiate. I mean, to get rid of my Anvil. Almost certainly. Really? Nice. The Anvil is definitely a more important part of my strategy than the Massacre did. Nice. Double Anvil, baby. Triple Anvil, baby. One has to go there. Please another Massacre. Please another Massacre. Gosh darn it. Woo! Scoop him up. Scoop him up, you piece of... I think we might even just have won with the trigger of the class. No, not quite. I'm going to level this up to 3 next turn. Sure, bro. Go for your last swing. I've got also a cave here. Whew, the Massacre. Saving the day. Bye-bye, mono white. Whoa. 3 in a row. 3 mono white in a row. Beat 2 of them, but my goodness, is it annoying. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the 45-minute mark, and that is going to be it for tonight's video. I wish we'd had a little bit more of a diverse field to test the deck against, but I guess it's just mono white all the way through. Jumping back into the deck with my final thoughts. I don't think there's anything that would change. There's an argument to be made for maybe like dropping down 2 reactors and putting in the Mukotai Soul Ripper instead, to have like something that can attack nicely, that survives sweepers and that kind of thing. That might be a nice little edit. But the main issue I have with it is the mana base, because it's just 3 colors are really wonky. But I like the bringing in the Rite of Oblivion there as a 4 of instead of the Vanishing Verses. There's just too much stuff that it dodges, that dodge it these days. But all in all, the splashing of white into the Rakdos Oni Cult Anvil deck, giving us access to the Portable Hole and this removal, I think is a great idea. And one that you guys should let me know in the comments what you think about. But that is going to be it for tonight's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all tomorrow with some fresh brews. And until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.